Hi Libra, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your July 2026 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's a 12 card spread with each card representing a different house of the zodiac. Starting with your sign, Libra is the first house, all the way through to Virgo representing the 12th. After we get through the main spread, we'll also pull an oracle card for some additional insight. As far as the decks being used this month, for the main tarot deck, we have the Guardian of the Night Tarot, and for the Oracle deck, we'll be using the Spirit Animal Oracle. We're actually going to start the reading off by rolling some astrology dice to get an idea of where you folks should be as far as that goes. Alright, we have Mercury. So, makes sense to see this pop up as far as we will have Mercury retrograde. At the time recording, this hasn't started yet. Well, it's in the pre-shadow period, but it officially will kick off on the 29th of June, and then the direct cycle will begin on the 23rd of July. So for the next few weeks for sure, we'll be dealing with those energies. And it's going to be taking place in Cancer, which you guys is your 10th house of career and social status. All right, we have 12. So for you guys, 12th house energy is Virgo, and as far as what's going on there, astrologically speaking, we'll have Venus move into Virgo on the 9th of July, and then it'll be in there for the rest of the month, basically. And on the 26th of July, the South Node will be moving out of Virgo and into Leo. So definitely some energy shifting around in your 12th house, but 12th house in general points to spirituality, blind spots, and mental health. And we have Sagittarius. So for you guys, Sagittarius is your 3rd house of communication, short journeys, and siblings. And astrologically speaking, that area of the zodiac's pretty quiet, but given what we were just talking about with the Mercury energy coming up with the dice, communication could definitely be impacted this month. So that could be part of why this is popping up here too. So we'll keep all that in mind as we go through the main spread. For your 1st house energy, pointing to personality, self-awareness, and appearance, we have the 4 of Wands. So yeah, this is actually an Aries energy here. Looks like an energy of contentment overall, right? Maybe you've gone through some growth recently, maybe some luck as well, so you could just be feeling happy with where you're at. And of course, we take this artwork at face value too. There could be partnership at the root of that happiness as well. For your 2nd house energy, which primarily points to possession, self-worth, and finances, we have the Ace of Cups. So, at the very least, this tells me that maybe you have some creative ideas coming to the surface for you as far as how to best handle your finances, right? Maybe how to experience growth around that area. So, that's primarily what I'm seeing there. Now, for some of you, it could just come up out of the blue. But yeah, could come through different avenues as well. So maybe you might even have a dream that sticks with you, and then you wake up and realize, okay, actually, that might be something I could apply in reality. So I'll just be on the lookout for those kinds of things this month. All right, so for your 3rd house energy, we have the Moon. So yeah, so what I'm getting from this, I mean, especially given that we saw Mercury pop up as well, and the Sagittarius energy pointing to this house. So this is the same with communication this month. You might feel like there's a lack of clarity for sure, right? You might feel like there's a lot of information out there, but it's hard to separate what's actually necessary versus what's just fluff, right? So it could just be one of those things where there might be an abundance of communication, but trying to sift through what's actually useful versus what's just noise might be a little bit tricky for you guys this month. All right, so for your 4th house energy, pointing to home roots and family, we have the 2 of Cups. So this is Cancerian energy here, and I will say, between seeing the 4 of Wands in the 1st house and now seeing this here in the 4th, looks like at the very least you're going to feel a sense of happiness and contentment with those closest to you, right? So whether it be people in your home environment or just family or people we've known for a long time who feel like home, I feel like that's really going to be where you find most of your happiness this month. All right, So for your fifth house energy, pointing primarily to romance, creativity, and children, we have the Knight of Wands. So this is actually a Sagittarius energy here. And I do have to say, when I just look at this artwork at face value, the word that came to mind was feral. So I don't know if you guys are going to be feeling that way this month or not. But seeing this here, definitely, Knight of Wands can be a bit of an adventurous spirit, right? A desire to explore could be coming to the surface for you guys. So whether that be around creative projects, right? Maybe to go on with the Ace of Cups energy we see in the second house, right? Maybe you have some ideas flowing through you that you want to put into practice. For every of you, could just be saying that maybe things could be coming up to the surface for you as far as romantic desires too that you might be pursuing this month. But either way, it looks like there's definitely going to be a bit of boldness behind your action this month too. Alright, so for your sixth house energy, pointing to health, work, daily routines, we have the Page of Pentacles. So yeah, so for some of you, this could just be saying that maybe there's something new you're securing around that area of life, right? So for some of you, maybe there's a new job that you'll be starting soon. If not that, could just be saying maybe there's a change that you're making to your daily routines, right? Maybe your diet, things along those lines there. Looks like there could be some changes, but I feel like whatever they are, they might feel like they're fairly new to you, so you're just still feel like you're getting the hang of it at this time. Right, so for the seventh house of partnerships, contracts, relationships, we have the Four of Pentacles. So this is Capricorn energy here, and getting a bit of a feel of restraint here, which tends to be in most decks with the Four of Pentacles. The artwork points to that to some capacity anyway. Restraint, conservation, but what I'm getting with this could just be saying that you're trying to be a bit strategic about things too. So, so let's say if you're with the Ace of Cups in the second house, right? If we tie it back to finances in some way, maybe you have this creative idea, but you realize, okay, it's going to take some capital to actually get that off the ground. So now you're trying to adjust to that, right? To save up to get that off of the ground. For others of you, if this is around partnership, it could just be one of those things. I mean, we do see two indicators of a lot of contentment when it comes to that area of life. So it might not be conservation in that regard, but more so maybe you're shifting gears there, right? To where you're actually now storing away more resources to help build the connection in the long run, right? So it could just be one of those things where you're saying, okay, this is time, energy, resources I'm going to set aside for this connection to help build it. So some different ways that this energy could be playing out for you guys this month. And I do have to say, given that this is a Capricorn energy, you might feel this bubble up a little bit more to the surface toward the end of June, actually. So before we technically get into July, because there is a full moon in Capricorn coming up soon. All right, so for your eighth house energy, we have Strength. So this is actually the major arcana card for Leo. And what I'm getting with this is a bit of an energy of restraint here too, right? But definitely more on the strategic end. So let's say tying back to the Ace of Cups once again, right? If this is around wanting to invest something, right? So I feel like there's a bit of a strategic energy there where you're like, okay, this might look like a good opportunity, but I'm going to give it some more thought, right? So I feel like there's an energy of the desire and the boldness to take action, but also a little bit of restraint to just not jump into anything, right? So there's still going to be some discernment at play there. All right, so for your ninth house energy, which points primarily to philosophy, higher learning, foreign affairs, we have the Page of Wands. So this is a bit more muted than the Knight of Wands energy, and the artwork kind of points to that as well. But I feel like this is saying that, yeah, if you could just have this desire for exploration this month, then given that your ninth house energy is Gemini and will have Mars in that sign pretty much for all of July, that could be part of what's sparking that for you guys too. Just a desire to get out, explore more, right? Whether it be different cultures, actually physical travel, or even just learning about something new. it could be something that's at the top of your list this month. All right, so for your 10th house of career and social status, we have the Five of Pentacles. And we did see Mercury come up, and we mentioned how there's going to be Mercury retrograde taking place in the sign for you guys. So to see this energy here could just be saying that maybe there's some reallocating resources there, right? So it could just feel like you're having to cut back for the time being. Again, like I said, maybe for some of you it's because you're starting a new job, right? So like, okay, I gotta save what I made at the previous one to carry me over as I'm getting my feet under me at this new place, right? Or for some of you, it could just be where there could be some discussions where they're talking about, hey, we're going to have to cut back on spending for a while, right? So it could just be one of those things where you're like, okay, you're finding out that there's some constraints and limitations around this area of life, but, it could be more of a short-term thing, but at the very least, there could be conversations around that this month. All right, so for the 11th house, pointing to friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes, we have Judgment. So once again, I feel like this could be tied to the Mercury retrograde theme as well, which is to say, maybe connections from your past might come back around. Now, given that this is popping up in your 11th house, it would seem a little bit more likely to be more of a friendship-related dynamic coming back around. But either way, it looks like there could be an opportunity returning again, and this time it just might be a better overall fit than it was in the past. And for some of you, it could have a friendship / career tilt to it as well, given that, like we said, the retrograde will be in your career house. All right, and for your 12th house energy, we have Temperance. So this is the major arcana card for Sagittarius, which is your natural 3rd house. So to see this here could just be saying maintaining your balance around what you're communicating, right, and how you're communicating. So with the Temperance card in a lot of decks, we see 1 foot in water, which would represent the emotions, and then 1 foot on the ground, which would, more face value there, right? So it could just be one of those things where, let's say if you have this idea that you think a lot of people would perceive as outlandish, right? So like, okay, maybe I won't give them the full image as I'm seeing it, but I'll give them some of what I'm really seeing, but try to present it in a more grounded way too, right? So they could actually follow along and not feel like I've gone off the deep end, right? So it could just be one of those things where there's an energy of you reflecting on how you communicate before coming forward to do so. All right. And bottom of the deck, we have the 10 of Swords. So yeah, so maybe you are in a bit of a transitory period here, because this can say that maybe there are some endings that you've undergone recently, some disappointments, right? And seeing this here, given that we do see, well, I mean, especially these 2 cards pointing more to positivity, the Ace as well, but like we said, that usually would require action to really get off the ground, but for some of you, this could be something more so that's already passed versus something that's on its way, so at least there's that, but still takes some time to heal from something like this. So yeah, it could just be saying maybe you've gone through some tough times recently, and now you're coming out on the other side of that. And this could sometimes be the case too when you do come out of a rough cycle. Even if you do see outward appearances of things being improved around you, you could still have those moments, right, where you might feel a little bit closed off, right, not as giving as you normally would be. So maybe you're still trying to strike a balance there too. But we'll see what the Oracle card adds to the mix. So I'm just going to give this a few shuffles, then we'll cut the deck and pull a card. All right, we'll take this card here, get this out of the way, and see what you got. All right, we have Starfish Spirit, and it says open to infinite possibility. There's the artwork. The number is 59, so we'll see what it says. All right, the oracle message says, stretched out on the beach, the starfish opens fully to the rays of the sun, to the power of potential. As you look out toward the horizon, you open up to infinite possibility. Spirit is the source of opportunities beyond your wildest imagination and ensures endless possibilities are available. At this time, Starfish Spirit urges you to stretch past the limits of your everyday perception and comfort zone to dream of bigger things and imagine with even greater hope and faith, for miraculous potential is shining down on you. Feel it, bask in it, and open yourself to be filled with inspiration. This is a very fortunate sign that Starfish Spirit has come to remind you of your infinite potential. So yeah, definitely a positive message there. And then, when you think of creativity, as far as you guys have Pluto in your sign currently, even though it is retrograde, but then excuse me, not in your sign, in your fifth house, pointing to the creativity. And then so you have that going on, and then even though it's retrograde, we're also going to have the North Node jump into your fifth house of creativity too. So it could just be one of those things where that might bring a lot of inspiration your way. So even if you're not necessarily feeling that as much early in the month, as we get a little bit later into the month, you might start to feel that energy kick up a bit as well. And then also around that same time too, we'll have the Mercury retrograde energy start to settle a little bit and start to improve as it starts a direct cycle again. So yeah, it could just be one of those things where, again, I feel like you are going to feel more highs than lows this month, but if you aren't necessarily feeling them earlier in the month, just give it a little bit of time. It looks like as we get a little later in the month, you might start to see the increase there. But hopefully that resonated with you guys, and we'll wrap up there. All right, bye.